Even before sunrise today, I was observing you, not symbolically, nor from some distant spiritual place. I, Archangel Michael, Supreme Archangel, leader of heavenly forces, stood on heaven's observation post directly over the exact location of your life. And I observed, I saw the moments leading up to this morning spread out below me like a strategic battle plan. I witnessed the precise instant you awoke. I saw the burden settle upon you even before your eyes were fully open. That specific, overwhelming heaviness, nameless and pressing against your chest, even before this day asked anything of you. I watched you navigate the initial minutes of today, burdened by something that is not truly yours. And I observed the creator of every star, every galaxy, and every breath you have ever taken, lean from his throne and speak with the serene, absolute power of one whose voice never needs to be raised, for the universe itself yields to a mere whisper. Today, reach that child today. I am present due to that directive, not because an algorithm presented me, nor because coincidence brought this to your attention. The Supreme Being uttered your distinct name today, the name he inscribed upon you before the world ever gave you one. And he sent me forth with instructions that have no expiration and cannot be countermanded. I was sent to connect with you before this present hour concludes. This current moment is that very hour. Before we continue, if this truth resonates, and you feel the presence of the divine favor Archangel Michael speaks of, please take a moment to like this video now. Liking the video will activate the flow of God's favor in your life, confirming your reception of this powerful word. What I am preparing to present to you is not solace. It is not reassurance meant to offer fleeting relief before your burdens resurface. What I bring is insight. Divine insight collected from a perspective no human has ever attained, regarding the exact conflict your life is currently enduring. When you grasp what I have been permitted to disclose, not all at once, as the structure of this message is intentional, with each part strengthening your spirit for the next, you will comprehend with perfect certainty why heaven demanded I contact you today and not at a later time. What is unfolding in the unseen dimension encompassing your life follows a specific timetable, and you, child of the Most High, are within that timetable at this very moment. Remain still. Every word I am about to utter carries significant weight. Allow me to recount what I perceive from the observation point, for heaven's watchtower is not a poetic device. It is not a symbolic expression. It is the supreme viewpoint from which the Almighty observes every aspect of every existence He has created since eternity's dawn. And as He examines your life, this is what the full scope of your narrative uncovers. A life that has advanced with unwavering dedication, consistently, and at immense personal sacrifice towards something truly glorious. A destiny inscribed within the fundamental design of your being, fashioned from your unique blend of talents, experiences, fortitude, and affection. A destiny that was continuously intended, that has consistently been the intention, and that persists as the intention, despite every period that seemed crafted to destroy it. However, between your present position today and your destined arrival point, an obstacle has been erected, not by divine will, never by heaven, but by human intervention, a calculated, tactical, and persistent impediment, erected by someone who perceives your goal with sufficient clarity to realize that your achievement of it jeopardizes all they have established for themselves. I will guide you through the precise appearance of that barrier. I will reveal its construction. I will specify its characteristics. And subsequently, I will demonstrate what heaven has already initiated to utterly dismantle it. For the demolition commenced the instant the Most High uttered your name today, and it will not halt. It will not intermit. It will not compromise. It will proceed until the very last component of that hindrance has been cleared from your way. As if you believe this divine demolition has already begun in your life, declare it with conviction. Type Amen in the comments below as a seal upon this truth, confirming your readiness to witness the complete clearing of your path. But first, I require an immediate action from you. Before we proceed, I need you to become physically still, intentionally and entirely. If you are upright, seek a static position. If anything is causing diversion, eliminate it. If ambient sound exists, lessen it. For what I bear today cannot be assimilated by an inattentive spirit. The profound spiritual nature of this message demands your complete presence and receptiveness. The Supreme Being did not approve this communication for the part of you that only partially attends. He sanctioned it for the knowing aspect of yourself, the part that has continually recognized that something immensely grander is unfolding in your life's unseen realm than the visible world has ever permitted you to perceive entirely. That perceptive part of you has been correct throughout. What you intuited, what you observed, what you could not articulate yet unequivocally could not disregard. The amassed wisdom of your own spirit, murmuring warnings through feelings and disquiet, and that distinct form of vigilance that doesn't resemble typical apprehension, because it isn't apprehension, it is insight, spiritual insight, precise insight, the kind heaven instills in its chosen. Thus, they are never utterly surprised by what the adversary is fabricating in the hidden spaces around them. You are never entirely unprepared. You are consistently discerning the approaching peril, and today, that discernment finally gains its complete understanding. Heaven is providing the account, and you will comprehend every detail of it. The initial item placed within this envelope, accompanying the USB drive, was this picture. Observe it. Examine it closely. For Archangel Michael states, at the outset of this message, that he was observing from an observation post. And whoever included this graphic within this envelope understood perfectly what it depicted. This is not merely embellishment. This serves as verification that what you are hearing is authentic. Someone has been overseeing your life from a vantage point beyond your comprehension. Do not quickly disregard this image. Allow it to impress upon you. I require you to reflect. Consider the state of your life a year and a half prior, not in broad, unclear terms, but with precise details. What was your location? What were you constructing? What was starting to mature in your grasp? What was beginning to form into something that resembled the outcome you had been striving for a duration longer than you could readily quantify? Purposefully recall that memory. Retain it, because what heaven revealed to me from the watchtower today is crucial. The chronology of the resistance against your life does not originate with recent occurrences. It commences precisely at that point, at the exact instant when your creation first became discernible to a specific set of eyes. Eyes that did not view your progress with inspiration. Eyes that perceived it with alarm. Eyes that, in that stark, calculated moment of realization, assessed the exact price your success would demand from them, and concluded with a determination that would have profoundly disturbed you had you observed it, that they were unwilling to bear that expense. Thus the undertaking commenced subtly at first, nearly imperceptibly. A subtle alteration in the way your name was uttered in particular settings. a minor modification to the details disseminated in environments where you were absent and unable to rectify inaccuracies. Minor maneuvers of tactical placement that, when viewed individually, seemed inconsequential. But attend to my words closely. Repetition is the lexicon of strategy, and collectively, the complete configuration that formed around your reputation, your chances, and your connections over those 18 months. That configuration bears but a single designation: conflict. You have been embroiled in a struggle, not the type with observable battle lines, recognizable adversaries, and engagement protocols you can learn and anticipate. The variety most challenging to combat, as it functions in realms beyond your perception, because it communicates through the guise of normalcy, because its orchestrator has moved through your life, presenting as an everyday individual. Someone who seemed accommodating, who seemed encouraging, someone you would never have considered a danger. That facade was meticulously planned, and I am now permitted to inform you precisely who this individual is and what actions they have undertaken. The individual working against you is what I call, in the language of the spirit, a mirror person. They entered your existence via an apparently wholly valid entry point. The bond seemed authentic, the affinity felt effortless. There was possibly shared amusement, mutual experiences, the distinct comfort of feeling genuinely understood by another. That uncommon and valuable form of acknowledgement, which is not readily gained, and upon its emergence, fosters a spontaneous and profound receptiveness. A part of you reacted to that amiability with the magnanimity and confidence that rank among your most admirable traits. You granted this person entry not out of imprudence, but out of compassion. And love unlocks passages that prudence alone would indefinitely keep closed. This envelope also contained a declaration, a prophetic message inscribed in black ink. Archangel Michael positioned this here, alongside the visuals and the drive. He intended for you to read these precise words. Recite them audibly if possible, for what is printed on this card is not a universal message. It is a distinct word for your particular circumstance. Read it, accept it, allow it to resonate. However, this individual's actions in those initial phases were not about forging a bond. They were about evaluation. They were observing you as a tactician surveys territory before launching an offensive, pinpointing the inherent characteristics, the vulnerabilities, the areas where precise application of force would generate optimal results with minimal apparent exertion. They were acquiring your manner of communication so they could articulate it back to you proficiently. They were documenting your principles so they could convincingly feign agreement with them. They were charting your connections so they could ascertain exactly which ones could be exploited and which ones could be subtly, systematically undermined. In the most deliberate meaning of the term, they were compiling a comprehensive intelligence file on you, not to foster intimacy, but to assert dominance. And then they commenced utilizing the blueprint, not abruptly, not strikingly, but progressively, with the forbearance of one who comprehends that the most potent long-term tactics are those that advance so slowly they remain undetected until their progression is too extensive for effortless reversal. They inserted nuanced stories into environments that held importance for you. They uttered remarks that seemed casual but struck with surgical accuracy in the consciousness of individuals whose judgments influenced your prospects. They were exceptionally forthcoming with details about you, not inaccurate information. For grasp this, the most perilous subversion employs no falsehoods. It utilizes authentic content, chosen and organized with purpose. presented to cultivate an perception that benefits the orchestrator, rather than the subject of the orchestration. They rendered themselves essential to individuals within your circle, not to assist those people, but to acquire proximity to the controlling influences of your life. And throughout all of it, they offered smiles. They inquired about your well-being. They appeared in conventional manners that conveyed authentic attendance and concern. Reflectors. They returned the image of themselves you desired to perceive, so you would continue to grant the trust that furnished them with all they required. I am not detailing this to incite fury within you. Anger would benefit them. I am recounting it to evoke something considerably more potent: insight. Because insight is the exact remedy for the particular disorientation their strategy was designed to create. The unsettling bewilderment of someone who perceives a profound flaw but cannot pinpoint its origin. Who recognizes that events are not progressing as they ought but cannot pinpoint the cause of the disturbance. Who feels progressively detached from the version of their life that once seemed stable, attainable, and authentic. That disorientation is the intentional outcome of the mirror person's tactic and clarity, specific, divinely backed. Heaven-sent clarity is the power that utterly dismembers it. The operational method is now apparent. The origin is now identified. And from this point onward, the bewilderment fabricated by this person's strategy surrenders its influence over your life. For fabricated confusion necessitates your unawareness to persist, and you are no longer uninformed. You are enlightened. You are recognized. You are shielded by heaven's complete wisdom, and you are on the verge of being re-established. This is not just information, it's an activation of your sight. In the comments below, state your new reality clearly and boldly. My clarity is activated. Let that declaration seal this shift in your spirit and in the unseen realm. As please know that every seed you plant in this mission will grow into a torch that shines in someone else's darkness. Giving to this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our exclusive community, does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. Heaven moves through willing voices, but it grows through hearts that are kind. This is what I say over you now. Each gift you give is like a stream of living water that flows into the life of someone who needs healing. Give, and it will be given to you, is not just a verse for Jesus. It is a living promise that shapes your future. Allow me to invite you now with a simple act of faith. Come into this moment with purpose, with honesty, and with hope. The money you give today is not a donation. The act of spiritual obedience that lets your heavens open is what opens them. Let go of your seed and see what God brings back into your life. This envelope also contained the second photograph, and the instant I viewed it, I precisely comprehended its inclusion at this juncture in the message. Archangel Michael has just delineated an individual who appeared in your life disguised, someone who leveraged your own affection and confidence to your detriment. Observe what this image has immortalized: illumination and obscurity. What superficially appears as one entity conceals something fundamentally disparate underneath. This depiction is not arbitrary. It is a genuine reflection. Allow it to communicate to you. Let it manifest the unseen. Now, I must convey something about yourself upon which the mirror person constructed their entire plan, assuming you would remain ignorant of it. For the framework of all they fabricated rests on a singular fundamental presumption, a conviction about you that underpins their entire operation. And that presumption is extraordinarily, disastrously, divinely mistaken. They believed you were isolated. They observed your life exclusively through the perspective of tangible, quantifiable, physical aspects of human existence. They enumerated your assets as an individual in the material world. They evaluated your relationships, your wealth, your capacity for impact and prospects. And from that evaluation, they determined you were controllable, restrainable. They presumed that a tactic applied with adequate perseverance to those quantifiable facets of your life would ultimately, unavoidably, yield their desired result: your reduction, your quietude, your withdrawal from the very thing you were nearing. What they were incapable of computing, what they lacked any framework to even commence incorporating into their calculations, is what I observed from the watchtower today, the unseen scaffolding encircling your life. The angelic mission that has been operative over your unique being since before your initial inhalation. The sacred protection that envelops you, not due to your accomplishments, not because you merited it, not because you have never faltered, but because of a pact forged at a plane of reality that functions entirely beyond the grasp of any human scheme ever devised. You were never contending with this in isolation, not for one moment throughout the 18 months I have outlined. Every action taken by the mirror person was monitored. Every detail they recontextualized was recorded. Every entrance they covertly sought to close against you was logged in a registry that functions with the exactitude of an everlasting tribunal, where no particular is deemed insignificant, where no inequitable deed is too minute to be indexed, where the chronicle of every transgression is maintained with impeccable exactness for the impending accountability. And that moment of reckoning, listen intently, is not something you are required to orchestrate. You will not need to formulate a rebuttal. You will not need to assemble corroborators, compile proof, or prepare yourself for a direct engagement. The Supreme Being has already collected all necessary elements. Heaven's proceedings were being constructed in the unseen dimension, while the accusations against you were being compiled in the perceptible world. Heaven's case is concluded. What transpires now is not a conflict. It is the implementation of a judgment that has already been issued in the everlasting tribunals. Your directive during this period is not to engage in combat. Your directive is to advance. Allow me to reiterate that with its complete gravity. Your instruction is to progress, not towards a confrontation, not towards a revelation initiative, not towards any direct interaction with the tactic I have detailed. Rather, forward towards the objective that was maturing in your grasp 18 months prior, towards the endeavor you were developing, towards which the mirror person's entire scheme was devised to obstruct you from attaining. That is precisely the direction heaven is now guiding your path, because the most destructive, most conclusive, most unalterable reaction to all that has been enacted against you is the singular thing the adversary cannot tolerate: your arrival at the place they sought to prevent you from reaching. Advance. That is your imperative. This breakthrough understanding is meant to be shared. If this prophetic word has brought light and clarity to your path, consider sharing it with someone in your network who needs to hear it. Sharing this prophetic word will activate the anointing and share that breakthrough with their network, multiplying the impact of heaven's message. Another declaration was in this envelope, another prophetic message. And this particular one, heed this, addresses the most profound apprehension that has pursued you, the fear that you have been solitary throughout this entire ordeal. The apprehension that no one in the unseen cosmos was attentive. This card is heaven's unambiguous response to that dread. Read it, every single word. I must interrupt here to pose a direct question, not a rhetorical one, but directly. In the manner one combatant addresses another, when the circumstances necessitate unvarnished truth over reassurance. For how long have you awaited a sign, not a spectacular, undeniable divine proclamation emblazoned in flames across the firmament, merely a confirmation, something that validated the reality of your life's unseen aspect, that you were not imagining the conflict, that someone in the spiritual domain was observing what you have been undergoing and had not determined you were too complex, too demanding, or too damaged to assist. I am aware you have been expecting. I know this because your anticipation is discernible from the watchtower. It possesses a distinct characteristic that sets it apart from all other forms of yearning. It is the expectation of one who holds conviction, who, through immense, persistent exertion, has declined to abandon belief, even as supporting evidence diminished and opposing evidence mounted. Yet who is wary? Wary in that particular, relentless manner that stems not from a lack of faith, but from the burden of sustaining faith amidst pressures that most individuals around you cannot fully perceive or grasp. The personal commitment to faith, the sort no one applauds, because no one observes the full magnitude of what it has demanded of you to continuously choose it. Heaven bore witness to it, every solitary instance. And the Most High, who does not squander a solitary measure of what his children bear, who transforms every trace of private, unobserved, persistent devotion into something of immense and everlasting worth. The Supreme Being communicates this to you directly today, with the authority of a father who understands his child, required to hear it plainly and unadorned. I have been observing. I have not overlooked a single day. I have not overlooked a single instant. I have never demanded you demonstrate your faith for public view, to deem it genuine. Each morning you chose to rise when your entire being yearned to remain recumbent. I registered it. Every silent occasion, you opted for forgiveness instead of solidifying in resentment. I attributed significance to it. Every instance you assisted another's progress while your own felt entirely static. I gathered it. I have preserved every one of those occurrences in my record. And today, I commence disbursing what has been amassing in that ledger. Not a partial remittance, not a segment of something that will eventually arrive. The initial payment of the complete legacy that was perpetually yours. Accept that. Do not permit your intellect to divert it, diminish it, or categorize it as merely uplifting phrases. Allow it to penetrate the most profound, most fatigued part of your being, the part that most desperately needed to hear it. Let it settle there and remain. Ah, this particular one. I desire you to observe this with extreme care, for in the message, Archangel Michael just affirmed that you were never isolated, that an unseen host has encircled your life throughout this entire period, monitoring every action of the adversary, inventorying everything, preparing for the instant of retribution. This photograph was included in this envelope to render that unseen truth perceptible to your eyes today. Witness the magnitude of what surrounds you. Observe the illumination. This is what the foe failed to perceive when formulating their assessments, and this is precisely why their scheme was destined for failure. Now, I will fulfill my pledge. The insights that will fundamentally transform how you navigate the imminent days. Because information without implementation is deficient, and the Almighty did not send me today merely to recount history. He dispatched me to prepare you for what is approaching. specifically the upcoming 21 days, because that numeral holds prophetic meaning in your life's current timeline. It signifies a culmination and a shift, the conclusion of a phase that has felt constrictive, and the intentional sanctioned, heaven, arranged commencement of a phase that will almost instantly feel qualitatively distinct from anything you have been experiencing. 5 prophetic indicators. I am now disclosing them with the exactitude the Almighty approved. These are not ambiguous statements. They are tangible signs positioned in your trajectory, so that upon encountering each one, you will perceive it not as a fortunate happenstance, but as corroboration, proof manifesting in real time that the divine blueprint I am detailing is dynamically unfolding around your life. The initial indicator will emerge within the first few days. It will present as an abrupt, unexplainable simplification in an area that has required excessive exertion, not a universal cessation of challenges. A particular struggle, one that has been draining your vitality and yielding insufficient recompense, will simply and suddenly become less arduous. You will perceive it, for the alteration will be too pronounced to dismiss. Where you exerted effort, an opportunity will surface. Where resistance was incessant, it will dissipate. Do not undervalue this. When it appears, do not convince yourself it is likely fleeting. This represents the inaugural tangible proof of the demolition. The mirror person's tactic is relinquishing its hold on one of the sectors of your life where it has been most vigorously employed. Acknowledge it, identify it, allow it to cultivate your anticipation for what is to come. The second indicator will emerge as a dream or an instant of conscious lucidity, possessing uncommon particularity, not fragmented visuals, not indistinct spiritual intuition, but something with sufficient exactness that you will recall it with vivid clarity. This will most probably occur in that transitional state between slumber and wakefulness, that liminal zone where your spirit is more receptive than your usual conscious awareness. What manifests in that threshold will convey guidance. It will illuminate an issue you have been truly hesitant about, a choice, a path, a connection, with an elucidation that does not derive from your personal thought process. Record it the instant you are sufficiently aware to do so. What the Almighty communicates through that transitional state is practical insight for the choices directly before you. Do not rely on your memory to retain it. Document it. It is a directive. The third indicator will be conveyed via a young person. I specified this with exactitude because heaven specified it to me with exactitude. An individual younger than yourself, be it an actual child or someone sufficiently youthful in relation to you to fit that description, will utter something within the next 21 days that entirely arrests your attention. From their viewpoint, it will seem entirely ingenuous. They will be unaware of the significance they bear. Yet, what they articulate will resonate in your spirit with a gravity utterly out of proportion to its casual delivery. Do not dismiss it. Do not disregard it. When that instant arrives, remain motionless and embrace it entirely. Heaven employs the utterances of the young and the pure in precisely this manner. For innocence possesses a vibrational quality that penetrates strata of spiritual obstruction, which would impede a more overtly authoritative envoy. The message is genuine. Its origin is heaven. This is the third declaration that was tucked into this envelope. And I wish for you to take a moment before I recite it, because what is inscribed here speaks to something for which most individuals never receive recognition. The personal sacrifices, the instances of devotion that no one observed, the decisions you made in solitude that exacted a genuine price. Archangel Michael states in this message that heaven documented every single one. This card substantiates that. Read these words, and I wish to impart something before we proceed, for we are now nearing the midpoint of this correspondence, and I have reviewed sufficient material to inform you of this. What Archangel Michael has conveyed thus far constitutes the groundwork. What is forthcoming in the latter half of this communication? The 5 distinct indicators, the 3 foundational pledges, the financial cues, and what he terms the ultimate disclosure. That is where this message transforms into something unlike any I have previously unsealed. Do not depart before we reach it. The most crucial segment of what was enclosed in this envelope remains to come. The 4th indicator pertains to finances. Specifically, an unforeseen flow of resources towards you from an unobserved origin at a moment too exact to be attributed to chance. This does not represent the complete financial renewal I will discuss later in this message. Do not gauge it against the appearance of the full restoration. This is an intimation, a purposeful, scheduled, intentional sign positioned by heaven to affirm that the monetary aspect of all I am discussing is genuine, operational, and progressing towards you. Accept that indication with the acknowledgement it merits. The Almighty does not engage in empty demonstrations. When he issues a financial sign at the commencement of a renewal, he is signifying an origin. Respect this inception. It conveys everything you need to understand about the scope of what will ensue. The 5th indicator, and I desire you to accept this one with care, for it will evoke discomfort before it offers clarity, will manifest as a separation. An individual will withdraw from your life within these upcoming 21 days. They might declare it. They might simply become unreachable. Their interactions lessening without official rationale. Your initial impulse might be to seek reconnection, to extend outreach, to ascertain the cause of the change and endeavor to mend it. I am delivering a direct order to you on behalf of heaven. Release them. Do not pursue this leaving. Do not perceive it as dismissal. Do not permit it to undermine your worth. What you are observing is heaven executing a divine revision upon the narrative of your life. Not every individual who accompanied you through the period of conflict is sanctioned to accompany you into the era of your progress. Some were designated for the hardship. Their segment concludes when the challenge ends. The exit of this person, regardless of its visible manifestation, represents the Almighty asserting creative control over the interpersonal terrain of your future. Have faith in the revision, acknowledge the completed episode, and turn the page. 5 indicators, 21 days. Remain vigilant for each one, because every marker that appears reinforces the proof of the preceding one. And by the time all 5 have become apparent in your personal journey, you will possess a chronicle of divine exactitude so distinct and so intimate that it will steadfastly uphold your faith through every subsequent season for years, for decades. A benchmark so tangible that no future hardship will be capable of eroding your conviction that the Almighty is involved, precise and loyal. The letter just identified 5 distinct indications, 5 prophetic signs that will reach you within the upcoming 21 days. 5 divine affirmations manifesting in the everyday fabric of your existence. And this image was included in this envelope to assist your comprehension of how it appears when heaven designates a period with intentional symbols. Observe this 5 points of radiance, 5 celestial indicators. This photograph is a visual affirmation. You are within a designated season. Observe each one. They will materialize, and when they do, you will understand precisely what this signifies. Now, I am reorienting the focus of this dialogue. We have dedicated requisite time to identifying and scrutinizing the adversary. That scrutiny was essential. You cannot accept what heaven is bestowing with complete assurance until you plainly grasp what has been hindering your capacity to receive it. However, I will not permit the opposition to consume more of this message than the blessing poised to supersede it. From this juncture onward, the resistance has received its complete inventory. Everything that ensues pertains to what heaven is now constructing within your life. And what heaven is building is more profound than you have allowed yourself to fully credit. A pledge rests upon your life, not a vague assurance vaguely adopted from ancient scriptures, but a precise, primordial, covenantal promise made concerning your unique existence before your earthly arrival. The Supreme Being does not mass-produce souls. He crafts each one distinctly with an exact purpose, a particular vocation, and a collection of talents calibrated with perfect precision for a contribution that only that soul, with its unique composition, its distinct past, its specific amalgamation of affection, sorrow, and perseverance, can offer to the world. And before each soul is sent forth into the human narrative, a pledge is uttered over it. A sacred agreement is instituted. A series of assurances are affixed to that life, which accompany it through every phase, which do not diminish under duress, which cannot be rescinded by human meddling, and which the Almighty fully intends to wholly realize. The promise made regarding your life pertains to three distinct realms. The Almighty delineated the order for me today, and this progression is not accidental. It reflects the precise succession in which renewal will become apparent in your life over the forthcoming weeks and months. The initial realm is your vocal expression. The promise concerning your voice is unqualified. It will connect with the individuals it was intended for, not through your most meticulously devised strategy, not through your most advantageous external conditions, but through the supreme orchestration of the Almighty, who is bound by none of the constraints that dictate human planning. Your voice has been subdued, not permanently, but intentionally muted by the accrued burden of this period, which has conditioned you into a reluctance about speaking, about being entirely visible, about permitting your viewpoint to inhabit the space it was created to fill. You have learned to diminish yourself in environments where you were designed to stand tall. That acquired diffidence concludes in this era. It ends now. The promise concerning your voice is being initiated today, not in the sense that your listeners materialize instantaneously. Rather, in the sense that the inner inhibition, the apprehension of occupying too much room, the reluctance stemming from prior experiences of mischaracterization, will begin to fracture. Throughout these 21 days you will observe an increasing facility in articulating what you genuinely think, what you genuinely believe, what you genuinely perceive. The disparity between your inner convictions and their outward expression through your voice will diminish. This is a spiritual sanction being granted over a limitation that was never intended to be enduring. Your voice is being liberated. This affirmation is linked to the 5 indicators for the 21 days Archangel Michael is detailing. It is a prophetic pronouncement regarding what these forthcoming days signify. Something is being validated. Something is being finalized. And this card articulates it in clear terms that you can retain throughout every day of the next 3 weeks. Read it meticulously, then store it where it is visible. The second realm is your enduring impact. The Almighty made a distinct pledge concerning what you would bequeath. Not what you amass for yourself, but what persists beyond you. What progresses through the particular lives you affect, through the influence that emanates from your aptitudes and your narrative. The mirror person's operation has aimed at this domain with notable vigor, rupturing bonds, destabilizing connections, tarnishing the reputation that would otherwise enable your legacy to develop organically in this period. The tactic was precise because the adversary comprehends the latent power of your enduring impact more profoundly than most of those acquainted with you. And it is precisely that potential that rendered your legacy such a calculated objective. However, here is what the mirror person's strategy could never factor in. The individuals connected to your legacy are not subject to human dominion. They are under the authority of the one who made the pledge. And the Almighty does not issue commitments with the intention of permitting obstruction by the opposition. The enduring impact he promised you remains unharmed. It was never truly imperiled. The adversary can impede the route. They cannot change the endpoint. And the destination of your legacy is more momentous, more lasting, and more far-reaching than you have been able to perceive from inside this season. The third realm is your tranquility. The Almighty made a distinct pledge concerning the inner essence of your life, not regarding your external situations nor the absence of hardship, but concerning your access to an internal serenity that functions regardless of outside factors. A tranquility that is not merely the cessation of unrest, but an energetic, enduring presence. Something that feels intrinsically like being supported, like standing on stable ground irrespective of what the observable world is manifesting around you. That serenity was perpetually your birthright. The period of conflict interrupted your access to it, but it could not annul its promise. And a component of what the forthcoming 21 days reestablishes is not solely external conditions. It is this inner stability returning to you as the strata of persistent spiritual burden are systematically lifted. 3 realms: vocal expression, enduring impact, inner peace. They were perpetually yours. They remain yours, and they are being reinstated to you starting today. If you are ready to reclaim your voice, your lasting impact, and your inner peace, seal this promise with a resounding amen in the comments. Your affirmation opens the door for heaven's full reinstatement, as 3 pledges: vocal expression, enduring impact, inner peace. That is what Archangel Michael just proclaimed over your life. And this photograph was incorporated to impart to those 3 words the visual gravity they warrant. I urge you to examine this image and to accept it as a personal affirmation. Your vocal expression will resonate, your enduring impact will persist, and tranquility will not forsake you again. Observe the luminosity in this picture. That radiance embodies the promise. And that promise has never been violated concerning the life of one who belongs to the Most High. That encompasses you. Let this visual serve as a confirmation of what was just uttered. Now, I am addressing the monetary aspect of your circumstances directly, because I understand that for many who are receiving this message, the financial realm is where the conflict has been most intensely experienced. The most tangible, most routine, most undeniable facet of an operation that functions spiritually but manifests in very physical ways. Expenses that are more arduous than they ought to be. Prospects that should have generated monetary progress, yet consistently failed to do so. A persistent, arduous sensation that your labor far exceeds the recompense you receive. That the input to output ratio of your financial existence is stubbornly, exasperatingly disproportionate in a manner that no amount of extra effort appears to rectify. I require you to apprehend this with the complete gravity of its authority. That disparity is not the natural consequence of your decisions or your capability. It is an indication of the obstruction I have been detailing. The mirror person's operation possesses distinct monetary aspects introductions that were omitted, prospects that were tactically diverted from you, data concealed at crucial junctures, a steady and subtle pattern of meddling with the particular conduits heaven was employing to direct resources towards your life. That obstruction is being disassembled, and as it dismembers, the conduits reopen. The initial financial indicator, I have already outlined an unanticipated influx of resources from an unforeseen origin. When it manifests, accept it with the understanding of its significance. It is not the complete extent of the restoration. It is its announcement. The second sign will appear as a reopened entrance, a financial prospect or connection that you had deemed irrevocably closed will become accessible once more. The timing will feel unsettling because you had ceased anticipating it. Do not permit the disarray to cause you to falter. When that portal reopens, pass through it unapologetically, without undue scrutiny. The Almighty intentionally reopened it. He does not create apertures by chance, and He does not create opportunities merely to observe them remain neglected. The third monetary indicator, the most crucial of the trio, will be a link. An individual whose trajectory intersects yours in the concluding segment of these 21 days, and who possesses, within their circle of influence and connections, access to an aspect of your financial future that has been utterly beyond your grasp until this instant. This individual might not seem important. The dialogue during which this connection occurs might not feel like a commercial exchange or a tactical introduction. Yet something within you will awaken with that distinctive quality of spiritual awareness, signaling that this is more profound than it seems. Respect that intuition. Be entirely engaged in that discussion. Inquire. Pursue the conversation wherever it leads. For what that connection holds for your financial future is not trivial. Do not perceive it as minor. 3 monetary indicators. Remain attentive for each of them. The financial segment of this letter is potent, and Archangel Michael just instructed you to observe for 3 distinct financial cues. This declaration, this very card, was positioned in this envelope to align with that precise point in the message. It is a prophetic statement about what your vocal expression and your talents are poised to generate, not in some remote, ambiguous spiritual future, but in the tangible days ahead of you. Read this thoroughly. This is a pronouncement of authority over your financial existence. I also need you to remain engaged with this, for only 3 sections of this letter remain. And the concluding one contains something that Archangel Michael himself stated was reserved until the end. He refers to it as the aspect the adversary most desired him never to convey. We are nearly there. Do not conclude this now. What is forthcoming at the culmination of this message is why this envelope was distinct from every other on my desk today. Stay with it. There is an aspect of this communication that I have been purposefully constructing, segment by segment, because certain truths necessitate the structural groundwork of all that preceded them to be fully apprehended. This is that particular aspect, and it is the very one the adversary most wished me never to impart. It is the layer revealing your authentic self, not the persona you have adopted under duress, not the image you project in your most exhausted states, not the iteration of yourself that has been molded and partially diminished by the persistent burden of this period. the primal version, the one conceived before the initial challenge emerged, the one that exists within heaven's comprehension of you with a wholeness, a brilliance, and a splendor that your own self-perception, fatigued as it is by all you have borne, cannot presently equal. But I perceive it from the watchtower, and I am permitted to reveal what the Almighty discerns when He gazes upon you. He perceives an individual whose capability for affection ranks among the greatest He instilled in any soul presently inhabiting this planet. Not the feigned variety, but the profound kind, the enduring, exceptionally loyal sort that continues to select those it cherishes, even when the prudence of that decision is questionable. The kind that mourns when loved ones suffer, that inherently gravitates towards necessity instead of recoiling from it. That affection is not the weakness the mirror person has been leveraging. It is a strength so fundamental that the Almighty structured your entire mission around it. Because the tasks He is entrusting you within this world cannot be accomplished by someone who does not love in your manner. He sees an individual whose fortitude has been rigorously challenged to an extent that would not have been imposed on anyone he was not entirely confident could withstand it. Grasp this. The Supreme Being does not allow hardship to exceed the capacity of the person encountering it. This does not imply the burden has not been immense. It signifies that the extent of the burden is concurrently the gauge of His evaluation of your might. The duress exerted upon your life in this period has been, in the most exact spiritual interpretation, a testament inscribed in the idiom of your own journey, demonstrating how much the Almighty knew you could bear. You possess greater strength than you realize, far greater than the mirror person estimated, and far greater than this season has caused you to feel. He perceives someone standing at the brink of the most productive phase of their entire existence. Not the simplest, not the most pleasant, but the most fruitful. The chapter where the cultivation of every preceding season finally finds a sufficiently expansive framework to encompass it, where the perseverance forged through years of anticipation transforms into leadership, where endured hardship becomes the foremost credential for the particular mode of service you are about to undertake, where the affection that was occasionally used as a weapon against you becomes the driving force of your influence in the world. That is the individual the Almighty sees. That is the one He sent me to contact today. Upon reading the portion of this message discussing financial recovery, about conduits reopening and resources returning, I considered the individuals observing this who have long awaited such a reversal. And this image was included here for precisely that instant. Observe what is depicted in this photograph: profusion overcoming limitation, radiance permeating formerly obscure areas. This is not mere fantasy, this is prophetic artistry. What you perceive in this image is a depiction of what heaven has already sanctioned for your life. Allow it to strengthen your belief for what lies ahead. Now I wish to directly address the distinct nature of today, because every segment of this communication has served this purpose, the comprehension of why this specific day was selected by heaven for this intercession. Not the previous week, not in a month, but today. The Almighty acts with an exactitude that humans seldom discern in the present moment. We typically perceive His timing in hindsight, grasping only subsequently, from the vantage of months or years, that a specific juncture was not random but intentional. I am imparting that understanding to you now, in real time, from within this very day, so that you need not await retrospect to comprehend what is transpiring. You stand at a turning point. In the calculus of graphs, an inflection point is the exact, unique instant when a curve, having inclined in one direction, begins to angle in the reverse. In the narrative of your life, a trajectory has been curving under the prolonged burden of this period, bending towards diminishment, towards limitation, towards the type of slow, arduous, hope-depleting path that can, over time, erode an individual's capacity to fully envision that the trajectory could ever revert. You are familiar with that inclination. You have experienced it with your entire being. Today is the inflection point, the mathematically precise moment, the exact conjunction at which the course alters. This does not imply instantaneous resolution of all matters. An inflection point is not a conclusion. It is a reorientation. The moment when the course commences moving in an altered direction. And grasp this: once a trajectory alters on a curve, it gains speed in its new course significantly more swiftly than it traveled in the preceding one. The period of growth that succeeds your turning point will progress more rapidly than the period of restriction that preceded it. Because expansion benefits from a collaborator, that contraction lacks the active, fully unleashed, fully mobilized sustenance of heaven moving in alignment with your forward momentum. Today, the course shifted. Note it, recall it, document it. Not with celebration, but with the quiet, unyielding, steadfast assurance of one who was within a wrongly curving trajectory and just perceived its alteration. Among those receiving this message, some have been bearing a sorrow that lacks a clear designation. Not the sorrow of a distinct, identifiable bereavement, but a sorrow for a version of your own life that you once entirely believed in, and which the periods I have described have rendered progressively challenging to maintain. A sorrow regarding the disparity between your anticipated position by now and your actual standing. A sorrow you do not articulate aloud, partly because it is arduous to express, and partly because voicing it feels like an ingratitude towards the authentic blessings also present in your life. I am confronting that sorrow directly, not to lessen its impact, not to reconfigure it into something more acceptable, but to respect it. The Supreme Being does not demand your outward display of satisfaction. He is affected by your authentic inner state, the complete, unfiltered, unmoderated truth of what this period has exacted from you. He gathers the sorrow, every tear that streamed and every tear that welled up and was suppressed because the moment did not feel sufficiently secure to release it. He collects every measure of it, and he maintains an exact record, and the principle that governs that accumulation is this: what heaven collects in sorrow is reimbursed in an alternative medium, not as pain retroactively nullified, but as something novel and authentically beneficial, something that possesses a profundity and lasting essence it could not have acquired had it not been molded by navigating precisely this period. The sorrow was not in vain, not a solitary trace of it, and today, specifically today, you have divine authorization to relinquish the part that has already fulfilled its role. You can recognize what this period cultivated within you, while shedding the persistent burden of its hardship. Lay it aside, not by pretending it never occurred, but in recognition that it served its function, and that you are now entering the period where the insight it generated will benefit you without demanding you continue to bear its raw essence. As this awakening grows inside you, know that helping with this mission is not a joke, it is a sign from God. You can support this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our exclusive community. By doing so, You become part of Jesus' plan to save souls who are still stuck in fog. Every seed turns into light that fights against darkness. If you water others, you will be watered yourself, Jesus says. This is not history. It is a living promise about your future. Come into this moment with faith and a plan. What God has already planned for your life can be unlocked through your giving. This is the sixth and ultimate declaration enclosed in this envelope, and it is the most intimate. Because the segment of the message you just heard speaks unequivocally to something rarely vocalized by individuals. The sorrow of not yet residing where you believed you would be. The subtle, daily burden of an existence that has not yet corresponded to what you presumed its purpose to be. This card is heaven's unambiguous response to that sorrow. Not a cliché, but an affirmation of identity. Read it deliberately. Read it inwardly and accept it as the truth it embodies. Prior to concluding this communication, I am presenting three distinct disciplines. Not theological concepts, not universal precepts, but practices. Actions you commence today before this day concludes, which will align you to apprehend the complete extent of what heaven is unfolding into your life over the forthcoming 21 days. The initial discipline is what I term the watchtower practice. Every single morning, before you engage with your phone, before you examine any message, before any outside information enters your consciousness, you will allocate a specific duration in a conscious stance of reception, not requesting, not articulating your requirements, not reiterating your worries, but receiving. The demeanor of the watchtower is not one who proclaims downwards. It is one who observes, heeds, and records with exactness. In that morning interval, you are cultivating the stance of an individual learning to assimilate the insights that heaven continually provides. What this discipline yields over 21 days is the cultivation of a sensitivity, a spiritual alignment that progressively enables you to discern divine activity within the fabric of your everyday experience. To identify the indicators as they appear, to perceive the subtle direction accessible in realms just beyond what conventional awareness attains. 5 minutes suffices to commence. Before the phone, before the first utterance to another person. 5 minutes of purposeful stillness, intentional reception, followed by one verbal affirmation of truth about your identity spoken aloud before the day initiates. This forms the bedrock upon which the 21 days are constructed. The second discipline is journaling. Each evening before slumber, you will inscribe one observation from the day that could signify progress towards one of the 5 indicators. One instant, one interaction, one occurrence, however seemingly insignificant, that bore the characteristic of the unforeseen, the perfectly timed, the too precise to be fortuitous. Record it without evaluating its sufficiency for documentation. Allow the entries to amass. What you will uncover over 21 days of consistent journaling is that isolated events, which seemed almost too trivial to note, collectively form an incontrovertible pattern, a pattern of divine activity, intelligent, distinct, and unwavering, interwoven through the mundane days of your life in ways that cursory notice would cause you to entirely overlook. This record will serve as an anchor. In periods of future challenge, you will possess, in your own script, a testament to the distinct, exact, personal fidelity of the Almighty in this period. That document will uphold a belief that abstract conviction alone could never sustain. The third discipline is liberation. Once daily, you will intentionally relinquish the mirror person. Not theatrically, not ceremonially, but quietly, internally, distinctly. You will bring their visage to your consciousness and you will utter, in whatever private setting is available, a phrase of release, something as unambiguous as this: I free you from the hold my focus grants you over my life. What you perpetrated is in the hands of the one who perceives all things. You are no longer my adversary. You are no longer my central point of attention. Every moment your focus lingers on the mirror person is a moment it is not directed towards what heaven is constructing before you. Your attention is the most valuable resource you possess. The daily practice of release commences its reclamation for the elements that belong to your future. 3 disciplines: watchtower, every morning; record, every evening; release, once daily, for 21 days. Do not bargain with this. Do not alter it. Implement it. You are about to enter your divine future. Remember that this message does not end with you. People can use your breakthrough to get where they need to go. Through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our exclusive community, you can help this mission. By doing so, you are sowing into the awakening, deliverance, and restoration of souls who are still trapped in darkness. This is not poetry when Jesus says, "Give, and heaven will open over you." Every seed you plant turns into oil for your destiny, fire for your calling, and safety for your family. Now is your time, my child. Have faith, and as you do, watch God multiply what you let go of thus. And now, the ultimate disclosure, towards which this entire communication has progressed from its initial utterance. The Almighty positioned it here at the close, because all preceding elements served as the essential cultivation of your spirit's ground to embrace what is about to alight upon it. You possess a talent that this world has not yet witnessed in its complete manifestation. I do not state this as a general reassurance extended to all who require upliftment. I convey it as distinct intelligence amassed from the watchtower today. From the scroll the Almighty unrolled bearing your name, from the vision He presented to me of the precise contribution your life is intended to make in the world. It is distinct, it is singular, it is irreplaceable in the precise understanding that no other individual, with no other convergence of past, talent, endurance, and affection, can actualize it, and it has not yet been actualized. The world that requires it has not yet obtained it. The lives it will permanently and irrevocably alter have not yet experienced it. The reason they have not yet encountered it is the period I have been outlining, the sustained endeavor of the mirror person. The internal inhibition generated by the burden of this season, the amassed skepticism regarding whether your inherent purpose was ever genuine. All of it has constituted a postponement, not an annulment. Never an annulment. The talent remains whole. The mission remains whole. The individuals who require it are still anticipating. Though they are not yet aware, they are awaiting you specifically. The period that commences today is the season of its manifestation, not a hesitant, diffident, diminutive emergence that equivocates and retreats from its own domain, but a complete, sanctioned, divinely supported manifestation, progressing at the tempo the Almighty establishes for it, occupying precisely the sphere He designed it to occupy. You will not need to compel it. You will not need to fabricate the medium, orchestrate the viewership, or generate the impetus through your own exertions. What transpires when a talent that has been stifled for a period finally encounters a divinely cleared route cannot be replicated by any human tactic, because the impetus behind it is not human in origin. The Almighty has been building force behind your talent, akin to how water accumulates behind a barrier. And when the impediment dissipates, as it is dissipating today. What is released is not a drip. It never was going to be a drip. It was always a torrent. This is the aspect the mirror person never grasped. They were endeavoring to suppress a force they lacked the capacity to contain. Their strategy was never destined to hold indefinitely. It was always fated to reach the point at which it ceased to hold. Not through your efforts to dismantle it, but through the straightforward, monumental arrival of the moment the Almighty deemed appropriate. And He has decided. Today, the talent is manifesting. Today signifies the commencement of the clearing that facilitates its revelation. And when it appears, when the individuals who have been anticipating it, without knowing they were anticipating, finally encounter it, the impact will be precisely what the adversary of your soul most dreaded. It will transform lives, genuine, distinct, already existing lives. It will wield influence that extends beyond your current perception. It will generate, over the years ahead, an enduring impact that fulfills every promise the Almighty made before your birth. That enduring impact begins here, in this communication, in the alteration that has already commenced in the ambience surrounding your life, in the 5 indicators approaching you over the next 21 days, in the opened access, in the unforeseen resources, in the connection that bears your financial future, in the utterance from the child that arrests your stride, in the departure that clears the space for what was perpetually meant to arrive there. It begins today. This is the ultimate photograph found within this envelope, corresponding to the final disclosure of this message. The talent that has been developing behind the impediment, restrained by the adversary's tactic, awaiting this precise season for its liberation. Observe what is illustrated here. What occurs when that which was held back is abruptly, entirely, utterly unleashed? This is not a tender dawn. This is not a subtle inception. This is what Archangel Michael termed a deluge, the complete, sanctioned, irresistible unleashing of all that was perpetually destined to emanate from your life. Behold this, accept it. Allow it to be the image your spirit bears into each day of the forthcoming 21 days. Your talent is emerging, and it cannot be halted. I, Archangel Michael, now conclude this communication, and I close it from my starting point, the watchtower. For I need you to comprehend that the observation that preceded today does not cease with the termination of this message. The watchtower is not a figure of speech. It is heaven's continuous stance towards your distinct life. The Supreme Being does not intermittently focus on His children. He does not oversee during turmoil and withdraw during the ordinary days. He observes the commonplace days with specific intensity, for it is in the ordinary days that character is shaped, talents are honed, and the belief is forged that enables the exceptional days. The watchtower overlooking your life is staffed today, tomorrow, throughout every day of the 21 indicators. Through the opening of every access point I detailed, through the monetary reordering, through the financial cues, through the manifestation of the talent, through the fulfillment of every pledge made before your birth, the vigilance does not cease. And the most crucial ramification of that for your practical daily existence is this: you are never navigating anything in solitude, neither the momentous nor the minor. The watchtower perceives the small details with the same exactitude it applies to the significant ones, because the one who observes from it does not experience the human differentiation between important and unimportant. To him, the instant you are making a choice concerning a relationship is no less observed than the moment you are managing a crisis. Every instant of your life receives the complete gravity of his supreme guardianship, because to him you are not a classification. You are a name, the name he uttered today, the name he has eternally known. Conclude this communication knowing that name is still on his lips, still articulated with purpose, still supported by the full power of all he is and all he has pledged. The watchtower persists. I persist, and the pinnacle of what has been inscribed for your life is yet to come. Proceed. I unseal correspondence daily. I stated that at the outset of this video, and I meant it. It is simply factual. This is my function. Envelopes reach me. I open them. I document their contents, and I disseminate them. But I wish to share something with you candidly. Being here with this message today, what Archangel Michael detailed within it, the 18 months, the mirror person, the 5 indicators appearing in 21 days, the 3 sacred pledges, the ultimate disclosure concerning the talent that has been suppressed. I have previously encountered messages that alluded to such matters, but not in this manner, not with this degree of particularity, not with this kind of gravity underpinning every solitary section. If even a single segment of that message resonated profoundly within you, if any portion of it articulates something you have been bearing that you have been unable to identify, I need you to comprehend its significance. That is not happenstance. That is not the internet presenting you with arbitrary content on a typical afternoon. That is the identical precision Archangel Michael delineated throughout that communication. That is heaven being explicit about you today. Every individual image in this envelope, every affirmation on those monochrome cards, was arranged in a precise sequence, calibrated to distinct junctures in a message, composed for a particular individual. I believe that person has just concluded watching this video. I believe that is you. Therefore, here is my request of you before you close this. Subscribe to this channel, Letters from Archangel Michael. Press that button instantly and activate the notification bell. For subscribing will activate God's prophetic promisey alignment in your life, and fresh messages arrive here consistently. And the next one to come through might contain the precise word for the upcoming moment you will confront. The moment that has not yet materialized, but is already in motion. You will want to be present when that message is unsealed, and then share this, not because it is a video meriting viewership. Share it because you currently know someone who is experiencing precisely what this message delineated. Sharing this prophetic word will activate the anointing and share that breakthrough with their network. Someone who has been embroiled in an unnamed conflict, bearing an inexplicable burden, awaiting a sign that someone in the unseen realm truly perceives them. You might be the cause of that person's sign arriving today. You might serve as the conduit. Send it to them. Do not excessively ponder whether they will accept it. Simply transmit it. Let heaven manage the remainder. I will be present when the next one arrives. I am always here. And I genuinely believe that the next message awaiting on that desk in the morning will be for someone who is currently watching this and is not yet aware of it. So remain linked. And until then, advance precisely as Archangel Michael instructed you, in tranquility, in assurance, in the unwavering conviction that you are observed, you are shielded, and the absolute best of what has been destined for your life is still before you. God bless you. Before we get to the end of this powerful story, let's take a moment to reflect on this deep truth. You did not find this message by accident. This is not a stroke of luck, it is a direct message from Archangel Michael to you. He's extending his hand, and inviting you into a protected, high, vibrational community where divine abundance is not just a hope, but a promise. This sacred principle is very simple, but it can change your whole life if you follow it. You won't just receive blessings, they will be multiplied and flow into every part of your life. By accepting this invitation right now, you are unlocking immediate, early access to powerful content and divine insights that are hidden from the general world. Now is your chance to enter a sacred space where you will receive spiritual guidance, unwavering support, and speedy progress toward your destiny. Do not let this sacred moment of destiny pass you by. Your breakthrough is waiting. Join Archangel Michael's inner circle immediately through the exclusive link in the description. This is how you guarantee you never miss the direct, personalized messages that are specifically meant to elevate and empower your life. If you desire to deepen your connection, the link is waiting for you in both the pinned comment and the description. And for those who feel called to amplify this work, a link to purchase the guided ebook is available, which is completely optional, but your presence, attention, and energy already mean the world. Take the step, your abundance awaits.